Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Let me know when you're on. Make sure to say hello. I'm Teresa with Teresa Rene Art. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I'm having some technical difficulties. Seems to be normal with Facebook lately, but I'm here. Hello, hello, hello. And we're going to be doing a mixed media collage. Make sure to say hello when you come on. I usually can flip between my two cameras, but for some reason it is not allowing me to use my computer camera. So I'm having to use this one to talk to you first, and then I'll use it to flip it back over. So I can see comments, so let me know when you're here. If you don't know who I am, I'm Teresa with Teresa Rene Art. I'm the owner of Decoupage Queen. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm super excited to be here today. Thank you to Pentacolor for allowing me to come on. We're going to be doing something totally different today than I normally do. I usually do some sort of upcycle or mixed media project. Today we're going to be doing a piece of art. So kind of a completed canvas. We're going to be using some old ephemera, a canvas, and lots of beautiful Pentacolor paints. So I'm really excited to share that with you. Hi, Sue. Hi, Arjabet. Hi, Juliana. Hi, Mary. You guys, I'm going to turn the camera down, so bear with me. It's going to get a little wonky, so close your eyes if you're sensitive. And I'm going to turn the camera this way and turn it this way, and hopefully that view is okay for you guys. We're going to be working with a 9x12 canvas, and everybody good? Can you guys see this okay? So the first thing we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be decoupaging all of, we're going to be taking some old receipts and, oh, that no comment box. We're going to be taking some old receipts, and we're going to be layering them all over this canvas. Let me get my apron on. And then we're actually going to be painting a beautiful spring scene on here with some flowers, etc. So hopefully this works out the way we want it to. But I'm just going to start. I'm just sort of ripping. These are old pieces of like books and ephemera that I have had for a while. And I collect this stuff, you guys. I use these a lot of times. If you're familiar with our decoupage papers, I use these in my backgrounds and things for decoupage papers. So I'm going to be taking it and kind of layering it in strips. This is from, I love these old papers. A lot of these are really, really old. If I find a date on here, I'll share the date with you. This one is from 1884. I love the writing of those, you know, that time frame. This is an old encyclopedia page or a dictionary page, and it's in a different language. I don't know what language it's in. Different language, and it doesn't look like, okay, it looks like French. It does look like French. So, because I see Quoi bon élève, encore me regarder. So it looks like French here. Hello. Hey, Betty. Hello, Blanche. Hi, Sandy. So we're going to be taking this and layering it down. First, we're going to spritz it with a little bit of water and then some decoupage glue. This is a billhead from 1895. And like I said, I love the writing on these. I love the vintage paper. I love the textures of these and everything. So let's start with this. Hi, Sheila. The easiest way to decoupage this, when you decoupage with anything other than paper that's designed for decoupage, like if it's a heavier weight, not rice paper or something, it's best to spritz it ahead of time with a little bit of water, and that will help prevent it from wrinkling and bubbling. You're just spritzing the paper. So I'm going to take my handy brush and we will get this started. So here's my handy brush. We're going to get this started and we're going to go like so, like that. Okay. And then we're going to get that on. So you layering the glue on the bottom and then on the top. And I have misted my paper a little bit so that it doesn't buckle or wrinkle. I want it to kind of lay flat. Hello, Isabella. How are you? So we're going to completely cover this. And then we're going to paint our wonderful scene. Always allowing some drying time. So this is the general idea. Another thing I like to do once I'm done with this collage and it gets dry is I actually like to take it and scan it in because it sort of will make a great digital background too, rather than having to kind of digitally piece all of these together. And it's always so interesting to see what sort of textures you come up with. So I like combining different things. I have old receipts, I have sheet music, I have letters, dictionary or book pages. And if you'll notice, they're not all the same color. So I am sort of trying to make the colors sort of, they are all this sort of aged brown, but they're all a little bit different as well, if that makes sense. So some are lighter, some are a little bit darker, and I'm trying to change that up throughout the page to add interest as well. Thank you, Betty. I appreciate that. So far, I haven't had, because this like ink and pencil has lasted for well over 100 years now. And I haven't had any like to smear or anything. So, but when you get that other, the layer of decoupage glue, when you get that on top, that will also help make sure that it's going to last forever and ever. And I really love, one thing that I love about this is the natural distressing in the paper itself. You've got these beautiful distressed foxed edges happening here, some little stains that occur over time. Ledger pages are awesome too. So what do you guys think? Do I have anybody on who collects antique ephemera or has a collection of this stuff, or is as fascinated with it as I am? It's one of my favorite things. And I'll take old like cabinet cards of people or postcards and mix those in as well. I don't have to spray every time. I have a little pool of water here next to me now that I've sprayed a couple times. And you'll also start to notice that the rest of your canvas is pretty wet with glue also. And then, so we're just sort of doing like larger strips. And then as we move throughout the canvas, the strips are going to start to get a little bit smaller, because at that point, you're just sort of filling, you're patching holes. So we could do a nice big piece right here. And it's okay if you go over a little bit too, like over over the top with something, because then you could, what you do is you just sand it off, just like you would like decoupage. You could just sand those edges off once it's dry. Well, you know, Sue, I can't think, like, it's hard for, I feel the same, but I always make sure that I have the original scanned in first. So I have the original scanned in intact. And you know, the other thing I don't know is, like, you never know, like, because I never know how much some of these pieces, I actually spent quite a bit of money for them if they're really beautiful print and stuff. So I never know, like, how much I'm tearing up value wise, but I figure, you know, I use a lot of these in my designs and stuff too, that I'm not going to turn around and sell them again. So I'd rather use them for my I'd rather use them for my own artwork, and I just think it makes it so interesting. And I like, sometimes you'll run across something fun too, like some words that you want to use. You know, like maybe you'll go a different way, maybe you'll go a different direction with, you know, a word or block of lettering that you sort of want to stand out, like Snow Church and Company. We could do that one this way since it's kind of unique. This paper also tears a little bit easier than, for example, rice paper. Yeah, I do. I use all, usually in the backgrounds for my designs, it's all things like this that I've collected. So I don't use any, I usually don't, I mean, sometimes I do, but I don't usually use any commercially sourced clip art for background. Let's throw some music pages in here. We could use a little bit of music to give it some movement. I do too. I love all of it. And you could use, yeah, you could definitely use some vintage magazine pages, anything like that. So the reason I'm doing this is because I sort of I really wanted this colorway. So you guys, you get the idea here. I actually have one that I already have prepared, but I did want to show you this process. I would go through and I would completely cover this with scraps of paper, filling in any holes that I see. It's okay to layer things on top of each other. But I knew that I was going to paint on this. So I actually have one that I did this morning. You can see they're different. Like even the tone and the temperature of the paper is different from background to background. So I did do one just in the interest of time, because otherwise we're going to spend all our time drying, etc. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you could definitely scan them in, and this, I have already scanned this one in. So it's like a little work of art in and amongst itself. So if you wanted to, you could certainly continue to layer this up even with decoupage, but I'm actually going to paint on it. We're going to paint like some pretty flowers and maybe a butterfly or something. So we're going to just sort of do a little sketch outline of maybe some flowers and go from there. So I'm thinking if we did maybe some, and I have, there is another layer of glue over the top of this. So the glue that I put on sort of acts like a primer, right? So I will be able to paint right over this. Should happen without any problem. But I'm going to just kind of freehand sketch. And I want it very loose and free. You know, I don't want to get too crazy about details or accuracy here, because this is meant to be a very free, almost like a creativity exercise. Like I sometimes do things like this when my creativity is blocked, because it doesn't require a whole lot of thinking. I can, you know, it just gets me back to the act of creating something. So this one is going to go under kind of, so we'll do some little petals here. So this is a good exercise. Like if you just want, you don't know what you want to make, but you've got some canvases, you've got some old papers. You could even use rice papers, you know, tear up pieces of rice papers and layer them in here. So this is definitely a good exercise for helping you with maybe some creative pathways. So we'll start with that. Let's maybe do a butterfly over here, like maybe like a monarch butterfly, I'm thinking. Let's see. We need a body. We need a body. We need these wings need to be a little bit longer over here. It needs to be sort of like this. There we go. This needs to be sort of like this. And then this one needs to be sort of like a little shorter on the side. Sort of like that. I don't know if you can see my pencil sketch or not, but we're definitely just kind of roughing in a little sketch here. And then down here, let's do like a really big flower down here, like to anchor it. Let's go pretty big. Let's go big or go home, maybe a pink one. And then maybe we could do some other smaller ones around it. Okay. So I wanted to also, hopefully I don't cover up my sketch too much, but I am going to take sort of a wash of a blue and layer that in here too. Hello. Okay. So I'm going to get a little bit of blue. This is a metallic blue, and I'm using the creamy acrylics. And I want to water these down quite a bit. I don't want to paint over or cover up. I do want them to sort of be watered down so that they end up being transparent. So I want the background to kind of be a pretty blue washed color. And then I'm going to take this and dry it. I'm not going to worry too much about painting my butterfly here because I am going to paint over it. So I just sort of want, and I can add more color, but I just sort of want to start with some sort of blue base. before I start painting my flowers and such. All right, that looks decent. So we'll leave it like that for now. Let me get my dryer. So it's sort of, I just did sort of a wash because I wanted it kind of transparent and I wanted all that beautiful paper underneath to still show through. All right, let's dry. Yeah, just a very light wash on there. All right. Okay. All right, let's start painting some of our little details here. I want to paint my butterfly. I'm going to use, I actually don't have an orange in these colors on hand here. So, Betty, you know what these are really good for is for if you ever do any sort of gel plate stuff. These work really well with the gel plate stuff. All right, let's see what we get here. I'm just trying to make an orange. For my monarch. I think we need more yellow. There we go. That's a pretty decent orange. All right, let's get that monarch in first. So we're just going to take, we're going to layer in this orange. We might need a couple of coats of it. And if we do, we do. It's no big deal. And I didn't do the blue. I tried to kind of keep the blue lighter around where I knew I was going to paint some flowers and stuff. You could certainly, if you're not skilled with painting, you could definitely just now take and cut out pictures from scrapbook papers or use die cuts instead, or even you can use rice papers. Just be mindful of the transparency of rice paper. So you would probably want to paint the backs white or something like that. Yeah, gel plates are awesome. Now I have let's get a little bit of brown out. I want to mix a little bit of yellow here. But if you are thinking of trying the creamy acrylics, we do have them in every color. And they are they really do a beautiful job of painting. And I kind of use them in conjunction with the regular acrylics, the regular matte acrylics. When I'm painting, I don't care too much. I know I've mentioned this before on lives, etc., but I don't always care too much about necessarily the finish, like if it's glossy or whatever, because when I'm painting like this, I'm going to top coat it anyway, and that is going to take precedence and give it the finish that I want anyway. So I'm not always too concerned with, I'm usually just after the color, if that makes sense. Let's put a little bit of orange on his body and blend that out a little bit. All right, so let me dry this and then I'll outline some details. And I'm being very loose and not too concerned about the details, but I am going to come in and add some details now. So we're just going to do a little bit of yellow here along the tops. And then a little bit of yellow here along here. On my palette here. A little bit. Do a little bit like here along these edges. And notice I am drying in between the layers. That's one of the advantages. It's both an advantage and a disadvantage, depending on how you look at it, of oil painting, is that the layers dry very fast. All right, or the paint dries very fast. All right, so we're going to just take my brown and we're going to come around and we're just going to kind of sort of outline him with this little tiny brush. So again, I'm just trying to keep it very very loose here, and not get too hung up on, you know, too many things at once. Um, you know, they have a lot of little veins and such here, so just going to try to paint some of those in where I can and make it look as organic as possible, but not overly forced. Mm, and this one has some sort of, these are usually kind of shaded differently here. You know, if I wanted to, I would come in for sure and like compare it to maybe some pictures of an actual butterfly, um, and make sure it has all of the relevant things. So for example, I know we have some little dots around the edges, usually. So we can go ahead and put those in, these little yellow or white dots. We'll do yellow. So it's not perfect, but that's not the point, right? So a lot of times I think we can get too hung up on perfection and we lose sight of um, you know, what it is that maybe we're trying to do. And right now, this is definitely meant to be more of a freeing creativity loosening exercise. So I'm just trying to um, you know, experiment with some different things. Okay, so that's our butterfly. I'm going to stop there. Let's move on to a couple of flowers. I think I want to do a pink. So I want to do some pinks up here. I do want to do like an off-white. Let's do like an off-white. Let's see if we get anywhere with that. So I want to come up and do maybe some off-white flowers. This is going to be like a daisy or something. So daisies usually have some sort of brown and yellow in them, right? So we can come in and play with some of the edges here too. Well, then you definitely should, Betty. You definitely should. It's been a while since I've done something like this. And I knew I wanted to, because I've been enjoying the oil paints so much. And the problem, it's not a problem necessarily, but when I'm doing oil painting, I have to be very focused and detailed. And, as I'm sitting there doing it, I thought, well, what if I did something that wasn't quite as structured, and did something a little more just fun. Um, so that's why I decided to do this today. I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to make it today because my kids have had all kinds of activities at school and such. And so I'm glad that I was able to make it. And I'm here spending this time with you. And, the other thing with this paint is you can sort of come back and like layer over the thicknesses, kind of change the thicknesses of it as well. This is kind of like an impasto paint, so it will maintain its thickness. Julie, you're so welcome. Betty, what did you say about oils? I don't think I saw it. Let's do a pink. Let's come in and do some pink. Oh, 50 years. Wow. Yeah. Before I started it back up, it had been quite some time for me too. Although I did do a painting a couple years ago of the fox. So every once in a while, I'll get like a wild hair and I gotta paint, just gotta paint something. All right, let's do, so here I'm just gonna layer some of this white in the mix. And I have some texture from the paper, and that's awesome because I'm kind of seeing some of that texture come through from the paper as well. I might come in and take this one and sort of go sort of in the middle. The one's a little bit darker. Maybe get my brown in here too. I got another flower here. I'm glad you didn't miss it either, Betty. All right, maybe how about a yellow flower? Maybe yellow and white. And then here we can actually put a little bit of orange and brown in the middle. We can come in and do a little bit of brown in the middle of that one. All right. I think I want another one. I think I want another one of these. Maybe a smaller one. And you can come back in and just keep layering, like in between drying. You can keep adding layers to it and sort of build up the texture too. Because that is kind of an interesting aspect of a painting like this, is getting some of that, the texture of your paint in there. Yeah, usually just adding a few different colors into your mix can make a huge difference. So let's do, actually, you know what, let's do some stems now and see where we get with some stems. And I got a big flower down here. And I mix a little bit of brown and green. Let's do maybe one right here. And okay, let's do like a leaf or something here. And maybe one here. And we can do, add a little bit of yellow in there. All right, let me get this one. This is like a stronger pink color here. And I think I want to mix this one with a little bit of red. It's a little too purple for my liking. If I make it a little bit stronger, I like that. Okay. So I'm going to do that one. And this is going to be the biggest flower down here. These are just super fun to play with because the colors are so vibrant. Because when I'm doing my oil painting right now, I'm really missing my bright color because I'm using a lot of skin tones and shadows. So I'm missing all my vibrant colors. So I was like, I need something springy. So okay, let's do, and this one, let's do, I know that is very bright. We're going to tone it back a little bit with some of this pink. Even take a little bit of red in here. Give it a little more dimension. Cosmos, I'm not, I don't know the names of flowers. I just know when I see them if I like them or not. Oh, let's do this one here. And then we can come in to mix a little bit of like purple in here. And sort of come in and maybe add a little bit of shadow or something. A little bit of separation between. Get this one darker in the middle. Let's get some of this brown mixture in there. And we'll take a little bit of yellow in there too. Maybe a little bit of orange. Okay, and now that I have kind of some anchor images, now I can sort of start to play around with a little bit of color too. And maybe take Maybe sort of add to the collage effect a little bit. Take some color here and there and add it in. I definitely want more blue in some patches. Another thing I could do, which I was thinking about, is maybe even adding a little bit of crackle. So I could put some crackle in it. Let's do some cracking paste primer maybe. Need a dry brush. Let's do some crackle down here. We'll put some cracking primer down here. Anywhere else you think? Maybe up here. And then we'll dry that real fast. Let's dry that. And now let's take our cracking paste. And we probably need to dry that a little bit more. Yeah, we need to dry it a little bit more. All right, let's take our cracking paste number 2, and we're just going to put that here. And then I got a little bit more up here. Go here. Let's dry that. I sort of wanted to look grungy and old. Remember with mixed media, it's all about layers. I'm starting to get some cracks here. Now I can take my blue paint and come in. Could maybe even add a little green to it. What if we did that? Added a little bit of green to it. And we come in over here. This one's not dry yet. So then you can certainly come back in too and add more paper on top. Maybe, I don't know. This one is I'd probably have to spend a lot more time on it to make it rice paper worthy. This is my creativity exercise. So another thing you can do is you can come in, if you want to mix up the colorways, you can come in and add more like cleaner papers into it. If you wanted more cleaner papers mixed in, you could certainly continue to do that. Another thing I wanted to do was to add a little bit more texture. So I wanted to take some more of my paints and sort of layer over the tops of these with a palette knife now. To give it a little bit more dimension. You can also layer over areas with modeling paste. You could use more cracking paste. I mean, you can, like a canvas like this, I could probably work on this for days, you guys, and I would free up so much creative energy by just this simple canvas exercise. So don't be afraid to experiment with stuff and just play around. And it doesn't always have to be a masterpiece. I think we expect too much of ourselves sometimes. It doesn't always have to be a masterpiece. It can be fun and it can be experimental. So I have a big chunk down here that has sort of gotten lost. Then I was thinking too, like, what if we added some other little interesting papers? Like, for example, maybe we could do something like this. Maybe we could add a couple of little rice papers or other things over the top. You know, it's your piece. Add what you want. So I was thinking I might just add, maybe I'll do something here, because this piece down here is getting a little heavy. And then what if I did something over here? What if I did something over here? I kind of continued with the collage. Something over here. I have some other little pieces, like I've got some little tickets. Jesse James, $1.25. Make it sort of 3D. The Thomas Theater Company after closing ticket. Something like there. Could do another one right there. So again, just a fun little piece. I'm going to, the way I would finish this is I would actually, and I'm not finished, I am going to continue to play with it, you guys. I'm going to add some elements here and there. I am going to work on these flowers a little bit more and add a little bit more of this, what is it? This paint, not white. Where's my, this one, this off-white. I'm going to add a little bit more of that texture in here. And add a little bit here. This little ticket doesn't want to stay down. I got to glue him on with regular glue. Yeah, so it's kind of the same concept as a journal page, I guess. Except I don't really have, I don't keep journals for myself. So you guys, when I make journals, I always get rid of them. So I don't actually have any, I don't have art journals. I know I shouldn't admit that. I like making them, but I don't do art journaling. So this is sort of my answer to that, I guess. And maybe we take a little bit of pink and mix in. So one thing that I might do, which I really have liked doing lately, is I like to take a darker color and go around the sides. I'm going to glue this one on. Because that one just needs glue. So I'm actually going to take this one, or actually, you know what? I like that. There's this dark blue. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to go around the sides a little bit with the dark blue and give it a little bit of a vignette. Sort of frame it in. So this was all creamy acrylics today. I did use a couple of the matte colors. And I am using, so one of the secrets to this for the background is I'm using complementary colors. So blues in various shades and greens. Not complementary, sorry. Analogous is what I mean. Meaning they sort of follow each other on the color wheel. So it is kind of funky, a little different than my normal shabby chic style. But that's really what I wanted to do today, was something very different and open up a little bit more creative energy. I wanted to use some bold colors. So one thing I can do here is I can kind of take and get some of that color, that deeper color behind my flowers. Give them a little bit of a hint of like shadow. Thank you, Brenda. And you can just keep layering and layering. If you feel like you want more detail in your flowers, then add more detail. If you know, just keep layering until you love it. Thank you, Sheila. So I would do the same thing around here. To give these sort of a little bit of contrast with the background and shadow. So the flowers don't get so lost. Okay, so I guess that's like I said, I could keep going. I could sit here and just paint and dabble at this all day. But at some point I have to stop because I'm out of time. But you know, I mean, it's very possible I will continue to sit here and just paint and paint and paint and dabble. So yeah, so the layering, you know, when you start to add these layers, that's what's really creating the drama. It's not the paint, it's not the crackle, it's not the background, it's just all of the elements starting to sort of come together to form a cohesive piece. You know, that sort of makes sense, and they work with each other. Another, you know, I was going to do something I thought would be kind of cool. I was going to take some contour liner and outline some of my flowers with contour liner, or even perhaps my butterfly, but I have misplaced it. I don't see it on my table anywhere. So you guys, thank you for spending time with me. That is all I have for you right now. I will be back here. I think I'll be back. I'm back in May sometime. And then I'm actually on Creative Hour tomorrow on Decoupage Queen. So catch me. I'm going to be Terry's guest at 3 p.m. So catch me there, and I will see you guys later. All right. Thank you for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye.